Okay. My name is Niket Sana. I'm an international marketing manager at HQTS Group. I'll be your host today. I'll be starting this webinar shortly. Please make sure that your microphone is muted and to avoid the background noise. If you have any questions during the webinar session, you can feel free to answer in the Q&A session that we have in the end of webinar. Currently, we have two esteemed speakers today with us who will guide us through the entire process of this valuable webinar. So let me introduce our first speaker and guest, Mr. Joel Tumwebaze, manager at PAU Health and Safety. And Mr. Joel holds 15 years of experience in health and safety, environment management in Uganda. And he also holds master's degree in safety and reliability engineering for oil and gas. And he plays a crucial role in developing Uganda's legal and regulatory framework. The next session is with Mr. Hisham Mohamed. Mr. Hisham Mohamed is one of the PAU compliance experts with HQTS, and he will walk us through the entire HQTS PVoC process. He will also explain the application steps, operational procedures, and the certification stages under HQTS service. So as you can see, today's agenda is overview of PAU project that has been headed by Mr. Joel. And second, we have introduction to HQTS as a service provider, application process of the PVoC and the operational procedures. And at the end, we have the Q&A session. So now I would like to hand it over to Mr. Joel, who will provide us the overview of the PAU projects and its importance of Uganda oil and gas sector. Mr. Joel, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Niket. I hope I am I'm audible. I'm loud and clear. Okay, thank you. So I'm going to share the presentation. Sharing is not turned on. I request that you turn it on. Okay. Yeah, I hope my screen is visible and I am putting in full screen mode. I hope it is visible.
Yes, it's visible. Go ahead,
okay.
Sir.
So I'm going to give a presentation on developments in Uganda's oil and gas sector. I am going to touch on some other aspects in the presentation, of course. I want to talk about national content. When we get an opportunity to present to such an audience, we also tell them our national content requirements. Then I'm going to also talk about the quality assurance strategy very briefly. I'm sure Mr. Hisham will talk about it more, then I'll conclude. So as an introduction, I'm going to give you a highlight of the public sector players in Uganda's oil and gas sector. Our mother ministry is the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, which is responsible for policy formulation, investment promotion, and licensing. Once they issue a license, the Petroleum Authority is the one that regulates your day-to-day work. It regulates the upstream and midstream subsectors. Then we have UNOC, which is the commercial arm of government. It takes forward the commercial interests of the state, and it is responsible for creating joint ventures across the petroleum value chain. It creates them in the upstream, in the midstream, and the upstream. So these are the key three players, but alongside these three, there are very many other government agencies we work with, like the Bureau of Standards, like URA, and many others. So at the PAU, we are established under the Upstream Act of 2013, and we have been existing for we are coming to 10 years, and we have about 220 staff. So that is our mission, vision, and our mandate is to regulate and monitor exploration, development, and production, which is upstream, together with refining, gas conversion, transportation, and storage of petroleum in Uganda, which is midstream. We do not regulate the downstream sector, segment of the petroleum value chain. So the areas which we regulate are resource management. Here we operate production sharing agreements, so we regulate cost monitoring. We also regulate petroleum data management. We regulate health. There we have quality, health, safety and environment in the sector. And lastly, national content, which I will speak very briefly about. So that is the petroleum value chain, which I'm sure all of us maybe here know. The upstream, the midstream and the downstream. And under the PAU, we are responsible for the upstream and midstream, which we regulate and monitor these operations on a day-to-day. So those are some of the companies being regulated in Uganda. Under exploration and appraisal, we have Ama Energy, we have Oranto Petroleum, we have DGR Global, and our own UNOC, the Uganda National Oil Company. Under development and production, we have Total Energies, we have the Sinok Uganda Limited from China, then we have UNOC, which is our national oil company. Then in the midstream, which is the transportation, refining, and gas processing, we have the refinery lead investor. I'm going to speak about that later. That is the Alpha NBM Group. Then we have the ECOP company shareholders. There's ECOP Limited, which is responsible for the pipeline, the ECOP pipeline project, and the shareholders are Total, UNOC, Tanzania Petroleum Development Corporation, and Uganda National Oil Company. So some of the activities we regulate. On the left, you're going to see a map which gives an overview of the activities. Hope you can see my cursor. This is the Tilenga project. This is the Kingfisher project. These are the feeder lines. The oil from these areas is brought to the delivery point. From here, you're going to have a refinery. Negotiations are ongoing. And then you have the EACOP project, which is supposed to take the pipeline to the markets through Tanzania at the port of Tanga. So this is the Tilenga Development Project, which is where we are doing the development activities currently. It's about $4 to $5 billion. This is one of the largest investments we have had in the country. And then that is Kingfisher Development Area, which is being operated by the China National Oil Company. It's about $2 to $3 billion, which is towards the south of Lake Albert. So you can see that the oil activities from this map are near the Lake Albert area, which is bordering the Democratic Republic of Congo in the west of Uganda. So that is the pipeline, which is about $5 billion, which is about 1,300 kilometers long from Kabale in Hoima up to Tanga in Tanzania. And this route was chosen out of many considerations related to the technical, environmental, social, security, and cost aspects. So that is the Kabale industrial area where we are going to have a refinery, and we have an international airport and a lot of petrochemical industries which are going to use the byproducts of the refinery. That is about a $4 billion project. So this shows the key upstream milestones we have achieved towards first oil from 2016 when the production license was issued. 2017 we have the Kingfisher front-end engineering design completed. 2018 we have the Tilenga project front-end engineering design completed. Then we have had the ESIA approval. We had a very big function where the final investment decision for the key upstream projects was launched on 1st February 2022. From there, in 2023, the drilling operations started in Tilenga and Kingfisher project. We started with Kingfisher, and we are now on track towards first oil. These are linear projects which are being taken forward together, and we hope that in the next few years, these projects are going to be finalized: the EACOP, the Kingfisher, the Tilenga, the refinery, and this will facilitate first oil to be achieved. So petroleum exploration licenses, we are aware that this is where we have to start looking for the oil. We have Ngasa Shallow and Ngasa Deep Place, which are operated by Oranto Petroleum. Oranto Petroleum comes from Nigeria. We have Kanyataba contract area, which is in the south. On this map, it's around this area here. Ntoroko, it's called Ntoroko district. That's where we have Kanyataba contract area. So this company is from Australia. We have Turako contract area, which is also further south. It is licensed to GL Global Limited, also of Australia. Then we have the Kasurubani, which is around here. It is licensed to Uganda National Oil Company. And there's a third licensing round, which is planned for 2025, so that we can enhance the resource potential of this country, of Uganda. So these are the flagship. This is one of the flagship projects we have. The Tilenga project, which is operated by Total Energies. Its production plateau is estimated at 190,000 barrels of oil per day. There are 31 well pads which are being constructed and from which they are going to drill about 420 wells. Currently, they are using 3 drilling rigs and more than 80 wells have been drilled so far. Once they drill the oil, it will be taken to a central processing facility where it will be processed. And from there, it will be put in a feeder line, which is about 95 kilometers long. All the land for this project has been acquired for other than about 4%, which is currently undergoing compulsory land acquisition. Now we have construction of the Tilenga industrial area and the support facilities ongoing. And the total estimated cost, like I had highlighted for, it is about $45 billion. Then we have Kingfisher project operated by the China National Offshore Oil Company, Uganda Limited, which is in the south of Lake Albert towards the south. Its production plateau is estimated at 40,000 kilobarrels of oil per day. There are going to be 31 wells drilled. They are quite deep wells. They will be drilled on 4 well pads. There's also this will be boosted by Kaisotonia in the next few years. It will be added on to the Kingfisher field, and 20 wells are planned on 3 well pads. There's one drilling rig as of today, and about 10 wells have been drilled so far. So from there, the oil will be put in a central processing facility again, where it will be processed, and the oil will be taken to a delivery point, which is the Kingfisher feeder line, which is about 46 kilometers to 12 inch. The land acquisition for the entire project is 100%. It has been acquired, and construction activities and environment activities are ongoing. The estimated cost is about $2 to $3 billion. Then we have the development operations. For example, the construction phase for all these projects is going to take about 3 to 4 years, maybe up to like 2027, 2028. You have 5 new camps which are under construction. 3 existing camps have been upgraded. There are a lot of personnel there doing a lot of work. And these camps are expected to accommodate about 11,000, 15,000 people to support the development activities. Over 100,000 people are expected in the operational areas during the intense activity of construction, and about 1 million people are expected to move in that area, so that they can get on the benefits from the oil and gas production. The production phase is expected to last about 25 years from the current estimates, but that will be continually optimized. But we hope from this data so far, this is a 25-year investment. So these are the activities briefly which I've talked about. We have the upstream, we have the Tilenga project, the Kingfisher project. From there, you have the Tilenga Central Processing Facility, you have the Kingfisher Central Processing Facility. All this oil will be taken to one area, which is called the delivery point, which is at the Kabale Export Hub. From there, some oil is going to go into the refinery, and some is going to go to the EACOP project. The EACOP project, of course, you're going to have pump station 1 and other pump stations. There are about 6 pump stations along. We shall talk about them later. Then here oil will be taken to Tanga, which is located in Tanzania, to the market. Then from the refinery, we are going to have a products pipeline to take the finished products to Kampala storage terminal, which is about 200 kilometers away. So, overview, these are the activities which the PAU is currently regulating. So, the EACOP project, you can see here the construction license was issued in 2023. The engineering design has been undertaken by Wole, and it is currently still ongoing. It is about 90%. A thermal installation plant was launched last year in Tanzania, and currently that is where they bring in the steel pipes from China and they put thermal installation on them from Tanzania. Then the line supply contracts were also awarded to PCK Steel Pipe Company Limited in China and CPWSA Greece, and they are supplying line pipes for the EACOP, and most of the pipes have been delivered through the port of Dar es Salaam, and in Uganda, they are being delivered through a place called Mutukula. Civil works have commenced. The pump station, the main camp and pipe yards, the accommodation facilities, both in Uganda and Tanzania. And project agreements were concluded, the one required for financing of the EACOP project. So that is a pictorial of the early civil works. The main camp and pipe yard and pump station 1, which is in Hoima, pump station 2 in Zimbabwe, the MCPY4 in Chotera, access roads, the right of way, and then the line pipes have been laid along the route in these areas. So this is also the EACOP project. It will be a 24-inch pipeline, carbon steel. It will be buried in the ground. It is not an above ground pipeline. It will be buried about 6 feet into the ground. It is heat traced and insulated. You all know our oil is waxy, so it needs its power point is about 45 degrees centigrade. And of course, there's also a fiber optic cable for data transfer, system control, temperature control, the vibration and leak detection. So that is an overview pictorial of the laid pipeline line pipe for the EACOP project. Then we have supporting infrastructure, about 29 square kilometers of the oil and gas industrial park were acquired by government. And this area is hosting the second international airport, which is the Kabarega International Airport, which was constructed to support the oil and gas activities. We have a crude oil hub and Uganda refinery. I will speak about that more. We are also going to have it is planned that this area is going to host a lot of petrochemical industries, including polymer, fertilizer, agro-processing, warehousing, and logistics. So the Kabari International Park is about 80% complete. The government has also constructed a lot of roads in this area to support the oil and gas activities. Also, for purposes of capacity building, the government has constructed the Uganda Petroleum Institute Chugumba to train manpower, the artisanal skills required to take forward the oil and gas activities. And of course, they have had to enhance other utilities like electricity, ICT, infrastructure, which are required to facilitate the oil and gas operations. Okay. So that is the refinery project. Uganda is taking forward the development of a 60,000 barrels per day refinery. And the front-end engineering design has been completed for this refinery. The environment and social impact assessment has also been finalized. Government is currently negotiating with an investor to take forward this investment, and this is the Alpha MBM investment company from the United Arab Emirates. And also the government is also having discussions with Total Energies and CNOOC to take forward gas utilization options such as the liquefied petroleum gas and power generation. We shall have a lot of gas from the associated gas from the oil processing operations at the central processing facilities. So I'm going to talk about national content. In Uganda, we are promoting national content in the sector, which looks at employment of Uganda citizens, capacity building, enterprise development, technology transfer, use of locally produced goods and services. So those are the 5 key pillars of national content. And there are over about 1,223 contractors working in the oil and gas sector. The totals and CNOOC, those ones are licensees. Under the licensees, we have tier 1 companies, which are over 320. And these tier 1 companies also work with tier 2, which are about 900 companies. And these ones also have other tiers, but let us focus on this today. But we have over 1,200 contractors in the sector. So, looking at some statistics from provision of goods and services in the past like 6 years, about about US dollars 2 billion were awarded to Ugandan companies, and about $19.4 million worth of contracts were awarded to community-based companies. This is in our areas of operation. And of course, in terms of technology transfer, we have had a total of about 65 joint ventures that have been approved to do work in the sector. And these have secured about 35 contracts worth about $190 million. As of December 2023, we had about 13,000 Ugandans who were employed in the sector, of which about 4,500 were from the local communities. So those are some more statistics of regarding national content. We have the national supplier database, where every company which wants to participate in the sector has to be registered on, and about 2,600 companies are registered on the national supplier database. Some are Ugandan entities, others are foreign entities, and the government is continuously trying to develop capacity of these companies. Investments, a total of about $7.5 billion was invested in the sector by the end of 2023. Last year, we had more investments, and we hope that during the development, the operation and maintenance phase, about $15 billion is expected to be invested in the sector. Now I'm going to talk about quality assurance. That is the gist of our discussion today. We are all aware that there are lots of equipment and materials which are being imported in the country to support the construction and operation phase of the oil and gas sector. And of course, when we assess the equipment and materials being brought in, we thought we need a very strict quality assurance strategy for such equipment and materials to ensure that they conform to the standards and requirements in the applicable legal framework. We also wanted this process to facilitate a seamless and efficient process during importation in this country. The oil and gas activities have been prioritized by government. We are on fast track mode, and we wouldn't want any person who is involved in the sector to have any challenges when it comes to importation into this country. So we wanted to, of course, this strategy to help us to mitigate against substandard and poor quality materials and equipment, because these have a very huge implications on the safety of personnel, on the protection of the environment, on the assets and the reputation of the sector. We also wanted to eliminate unnecessary delays, and that can impact the project schedule, cost, and loss of production. We had a lot of lessons during the exploration and production phase, which was undertaken between 2007 and about 2013. The companies were bringing in about some dilapidated rigs, which would break down and we have high standby costs. Then we are operating in a pristine environment. It needs to be protected. So some of the operations are in the national park, and you have to really care about the biodiversity and the environment. So things like noise, visual intrusion, emissions. You would have very old engines coming here, and their emissions would even be visible in the eyes. And of course, in such areas, there are some things which we don't take serious, like alien and invasive species. Some of these rigs have been operating in and equipment in other areas. So we needed to be sure that when they are coming here, they are not bringing in any alien and invasive species. And of course, the oil and gas sector uses a lot of hazardous substances, chemicals, radioactive materials, and equipment explosive. We wanted to have a level of control in terms of their quality. Then, of course, national content requirements. We do not encourage companies to import companies that can be obtained locally, or goods or materials that are ring-fenced for Ugandans. Our laws ring-fenced about 13 goods and services which have to be obtained locally in Uganda. So such goods cannot be imported in from abroad. So those are the kind of laws we have in Uganda that are assisting us with the quality assurance strategy. We have the UNBS Act, which gives a mandate to UNBS to inspect imports coming into the country, enforce requirements of Uganda standards, protect health and safety of public and the environment, and also avoid dangerous and substandard products. Then we have the Petroleum Upstream and Midstream Acts, which requires the PAU approve the designs for use during design, construction, installation, operation, and commissioning. And of course, they are supposed to ensure that the licensees comply with to the standards and the legal framework during the project life cycle. So the PAU worked with the Uganda National Bureau of Standards to implement a strategy for quality assurance of imported materials. And we have had a lot of engagements with IOCs, with the contractors, the private sector, the importers on this strategy. And we are using third-party service providers. And today I'm proud to say that HQTS has been doing a good job for us. And they're hosting this webinar today so that we can enlighten other stakeholders on these processes. And of course, they are supposed to undertake pre-export verification of conformity, assessment of the imported materials in the country of origin. And this UNBS PAU arrangement, it covers equipment and materials that are used solely for oil and gas operations and facilities, and it excludes general equipment or materials that are also used outside the sector. For example, if you're bringing in a computer, you do not subject it to this PVoC of ours. You subject it to the general PVoC. A computer can, but when you're bringing in things for use at oil and gas facilities, those are the ones that are supposed to be subjected to the PVoC oil and gas process. So that is the operational procedure. It starts with the application for authorization to import. So you submit this application. If you are a contractor in Kingfisher, you write CNOC and say, I want to bring this for use on the Kingfisher project. CNOC will confirm and they will write to us and say, yes, this is supposed to be used on the Kingfisher project. It is supposed to be used to do A, B, C, and D, and it complies with these standards. Then as PAU, we review, then we issue an authorization to import, or we can reject the importation. Then from there, you submit a request for certification or inspection via the Uganda Electronic Single Window, and you select a PVoC service provider of choice, for example, HQTS. You are supposed to present a PAU authorization letter, a declaration form, commercial invoice, packing list, the product technical specification, basically anything that is associated to the quality management aspects of the product. Of course, for second-hand inspection, we are aware that these ones may not have some of these processes, but there must be a record of inspection or third examination undertaken in the previous 6 months, a performance standard of such equipment, and also a declaration of conformity based on ISO 20245 or any other applicable standard. Then from there, the service provider will review the documentation you have submitted, establish if the applicable standards or documents. You can also prepare the inspection and testing instructions in line with the requirements of the relevant standards. Then this service provider has a timeline because we don't want any delays. We want the service provider to get back to you within 5 working days. When if he issues you a certificate of conformity, or sometimes he may require to do consignment inspection, physical inspection. So this inspection has to be carried out even before he's supposed to do a certain inspection, whether it is remote, whether it is physical, but it has to be carried out in accordance with ISO IEC 1720, the Uganda standards or regulations, looks at the batch number, looks at the date of expiry, looks at the shelf life, for example, chemicals, the prepackaged control, field verification, integrity of the packages. From there, he's supposed to give an inspection report, which we access. Then from there, based on the results of the inspection, now that is when he's supposed to be saying, now I need to test these samples. I'm not sure about them, based on the information you have provided. But if you've provided something that is satisfactory, this testing is not compulsory. But if the testing is required, it has to be, now this is a course that has to be done by the importer and the accredited laboratories, which must conform to the international standards. But for other customers, there are some products which may not have standards, which are like spares or replacement parts. Those ones, you're supposed to review the materials used, or the manufacturing process undertaken, or the supplier provided tests. But testing is not compulsory for brand new materials or equipment duly authorized by the manufacturer, because we are assuming that such a manufacturer, you have submitted its quality management processes, it has been validated, the test reports are available, and they are traceable to the current version of ISO IEC 17025. Then from there, the PVoC service provider, HQTS in this case, will issue a final certification document, a certification decision, which is a COC or an NCR based on the inspection report, and you're supposed to pay the applicable fees. Then from there, these documents are uploaded to the online database along with the other documentation that shows evidence, so that when the product comes into Uganda, it shows that it has passed through a process, and this process can be audited. So from there, the goods are declared. On arrival at the entry ports, we have officers there, government officers, who will look at the equipment and materials and verify that it has been subjected through PVoC, and they can take also physical inspection, so that they verify that what is on the COC is actually what has been received. And then these goods are cleared for importation to the site. For us as PAU, we follow these equipment or materials to the site and ensure that what is at site has a valid COC that has been issued under the PVoC oil and gas program. For things which are not issued, we cannot allow such products at site, and enforcement has really started in this regard. Then we have destination inspection, but this is not recommended for commodities which are not accompanied with the COC, which differ in the description or which are non-compliant with the law, or sometimes the COC can be issued to a wrong commodity standards. But we do not encourage destination inspection, and I will highlight why, because it has several challenges, because you risk importing substandard materials, and once they reach here, they are rejected. It is time consuming. The testing capacity also in Uganda is questionable in terms of personnel and laboratories. But those are the key steps for destination inspection, but it's not something we encourage it for it. So the importers are supposed to contact the service provider so that any testing is undertaken in the country of origin before importation. So other aspects, we do surveillance and delivery of the equipment and materials to the oil and gas sites. We have now integrated the oil and gas policy in our operations to ensure that all that is imported has a valid COC. The applicable fees are within the law, they are standard, the ones for inspection. But of course, if it needs laboratory, now that changes the dynamic. Component handling, for any importer who has a component handling, is supposed to either first, these service providers are required to have their own component grievance handling mechanisms, and they have a tracking system, and these complaints, they are supposed to respond to them within 2 working days. But if they do not, the importer may appeal to the office of the EDUNBS and PAU. So in conclusion, that was my last slide. I hope I haven't taken long. The oil and gas sector is having a very significant contribution to the country GDP. Will double in the next 5 years as a result of this sector and its multiplier effects. So those are some of the expected benefits. Investment is about $20 billion over the next 5 years. Then we have an average of $1 to $2 billion annually as a country from the sale of crude oil. We have about $8 billion, which we hope to retain as national content retention here in the country as a result of promoting national content contracts, joint ventures, employment of Ugandans, technology transfer. Then about 8 billion arising from successful linkages with other sectors of the economy. Of course, the sector doesn't work alone in isolation. It will work with transporters, it will work with hoteliers, it will work with agriculture, it will work with the banking sector. So all these linkages, we hope that so this PVoC oil and gas program has been implemented since 1st March to ensure that the quality assurance strategy facilitates a seamless and efficient importation process of the specialized equipment and materials for the sector. As PAU, we are working with UNBS and other stakeholders such as URA and the Oil and Gas Police to ensure strict enforcement with these requirements. And I need to emphasize that only equipment or materials with the COC will be allowed at the oil and gas operational sites. The quality assurance strategy will ensure that the imported equipment and materials for the oil and gas sector comply with the Uganda standards approved by the sector, and other applicable requirements in the legal and regulatory framework, safeguard the health and safety of the people, protect the environment, and ensure asset integrity. I thank you for listening to me. I submit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Joel. That was a insightful presentation. Now we will hand it over to Mr. Hisham Mohamed from HQTS, who will guide us through the practical aspects of HQTS PVoC processes.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Hashim. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you very much, Mr. Joel, of your time to give us for our workshop and to do the best explanation and simply about the background of Petroleum Authority of Uganda and the down and mid and upstreams projects for oil and gas sector. Thank you very much, and we appreciate that. So let me now to explain to you. Let me start it from the background of the certificates of conformity for the oil and gas sector, especially for upstream oil and gas equipments. As you can see in the screen, let's move, please, Nick, to the next page. The background of PAU PVoC program, as you can see on the screen now, the Petroleum Exploration Development and the Production October 2013 for refining and the conversion, transmission, the midstream storage started at early on 2013, mandate the Petroleum Authority of Uganda to approve to use the standard of ensure compliance compliance during the design and construction, installation, operation, and the combination during petroleum activities and the midstream operation. So the PAU cooperated with the Uganda National Bureau of Standards, which is UNPS, and another government bodies to implement the quality assurance strategy for importing specialized equipment and materials for oil and gas sector. So actually the strategy for the involves the third-party service provider conducting per export verification of conformity PVoC assessments. That's to ensure a compliance with the national standards to approve the standard and the legal requirements for PAU. Actually, too much of my presentation already explained by Mr. Joel, so I don't want to repeat that. So I will just moving to the most important in my presentation. That's maybe just talking about the service provider. So as you can see here, HQTS is one of the only two service provider globally certified by Petroleum Authority of Uganda to issue per export verification of conformity, which is PAU PVoC for oil and gas projects, especially for upstream oil and gas projects, because to separate it like a downstream oil and gas project, it will be under the general goods, which it will only we can issue the PVoC certificates from the National Bureau of Standards. But for upstream projects for oil and gas equipments machinery, materials, going to that Tilinga project, Kingfisher, ECOP pipeline that need to apply for the PVoC PAU certificates. And HQTS is one of only two companies with another companies for to issue these certificates. So let me move to the PAU list of specialized material and equipments. So most of the materials and equipments we provide the PAU certificates is for production, drilling and wells equipments, oil field chemicals, crude oil processing, well pads, petroleum transportation and the storage equipments and material, crude oil refining equipments and the materials. So that is mostly. So for how to apply for how to apply the PAU PVoC certificates. Let me please to explain to you the requirements for the service one of the service provider. The application documents that we need, the first we need the application form, products declaration form that including the product's name, brand, size, patch number, serial number, quantity, HS code, and the expired dates where applicable. Second, the commercial invoice. The fourth, which is the most important, it's the PAU authorization letter applied from Uganda Petroleum Authority Association. So without the authorization letter, we cannot issue the PVoC, the PAU certificate. The fifth is the packing list, and six, products technical specification from the manufacturer. Seven, the manual operation instruction and the manual instruction shell including the English. Eight, KMS certificates if available, and the last is nine, the test report issued by the authority that is certified at the version of ISO IEC 17025 if available. Maybe here is, sorry, maybe my screen is not sharing the pages. Then I will move to so this is the requirements for the service provider needed to issue the certificates. And as Mr. Joel mentioned, that the value, the fee of the certificate is 0.5% of the FOP, with the minimum fees 235 USD and maximum fees is 3,000. But the fees of 0.5% is just cover the documents review and the certificates. Doesn't include the inspection fee, FET, loading supervision or testing fee, parking sampling or per inspection. Also, the charges that above mentioned pass on the perform invoice, like the 0.5% of FOB value. So it depends on the commercial invoice provided by the exporter. So at the end here is our online system introduction, but is not working as well at that moment because we have upgrade some steps for it. And I'm gonna stop here because actually Mr. Joel has covered most of my presentation. And thank you very much.
Hi, Hashim. Have you done your presentation?
Yes, actually, most of the points in my presentation is covered by Mr. Joe, so I no need to repeat it more and more. So that's I can stop at this moment. And if anyone have a question, please welcome. I can answer it.
Okay. Thank you, Hashim, for your explanation on this presentation. And now we'll start the Q&A session. So I'll ask everyone, if you have any question, you can raise your question in the Q&A bar at the bottom, so we can, address your questions. Currently have one question from Mr. Victor. He says that I have one question about the project development. Which company will be operated it? Total Energy or CNOC? Mr. Joel, would you like to answer?
Okay, let me answer it. For the Kingfisher project, that one is operated by CNOC. So there are different projects. For Tirenga, that one is operated by Total Energies. It's main operator. Though the others are shareholders, but the operatorship, Tirenga project, that is Total Energies. Kingfisher project, that is the CNOC, CNOC Uganda Limited. Then for the IACO project, it is a consortium. It has four shareholders that made a vehicle called IACO Limited, which is owned by Total Energies, CNOC, UNOC, and the Tanzania Petroleum Development Corporation. So those are the different operators. IACO project, CNOC Uganda Limited, Total Energies Limited. I hope that is clear. Thank you.
Mr. Victor, do you have any other question to ask?
Hello.
Yeah, Mr. Victor, go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much. So actually, it depends on the project. Either it's Total Energy or the trading company wants the product. Depends. Like you
Mr.
tell me,
Victor, we are not able to understand your question. Could you please repeat the question again?
I mean, there is two project. One project is Total Energy with implementation, and the other project is trading. Right?
Mr. Victor, currently we are not able to hear you properly. So we'll move on to the next person. If anybody have any question, they can raise their hand and we will allow them to speak. I believe there is no further question for this session. So I would like to end this session. Before I end this session, I would like to thank our special speaker, Mr. Joel, for taking time from his busy schedule and addressing on this webinar. And a big thank you to all of you for attending today's session. We hope that you have found it very informative and helpful. If you have any additional questions for this presentation, you can obviously go ahead and connect with us on our website.
Okay, thank you, Niket, and it's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And if you have any further question to this, you can always, connect us on our website. You can email us on the following email ID and the phone numbers mentioned on the PPT. You can always, dial us on our number, and you can always, give us a chat or a WhatsApp. Thank you again, and looking forward to see you for future events. Thank you so much.